Hello students, so CLAT is peeping at us and you will get numerous videos on what to do to crack CLAT. But nobody will tell you that what are the things that we should avoid in order to crack CLAT. So here are the things that we should avoid, and basically when we are taking English section into focus, then there are many things that you should avoid while solving the reading comprehension. So what are those things? Let's have a look at them. So first thing that we should avoid while solving reading comprehension is that first we should not ponder on trivialities. Now what does this mean? We should not ponder on trivialities. So it simply means that in any of the passage there are numerous of informations are given, and that is correct. But the thing is that there are irrelevant informations also. When we are trying to solve the reading comprehension, we should not look upon these irrelevant information. हमको ये जो irrelevant information है, ये जो insignificant informations है, उनकी तरफ हमको ध्यान नहीं देना है. For example, कुछ illustrations हो गए, कुछ examples हो गए जो author सिर्फ और सिर्फ खुद के statement को support करने के लिए, खुद के व्यू पॉइंट को एडुकेट करने के लिए वहां पर पुट फोर्थ कर रहा है, तो उन पे हमको ध्यान नहीं देना है. Now the second thing that we should consider is that we should not try to memorize. I have seen many students that they are trying to memorize the whole passage. वो क्या कोशिश करते हैं कि पूरे passage को memorize करें. No, we should not try to memorize. We should go with the flow of the passage, try to deduce the structure of the passage. Passage का structure क्या है, passage में क्या important चीज़ जो है वो highlight की है, वो आपको वहाँ पर उसका एक balanced structure बनाना है. We should not try to memorize the passage because there are 5 to 6 passages in CLAT examination. And what would you do after memorizing each and every passage? हर एक passage को memorize करोगे तो उसका करोगे क्या? So we should not try to memorize the passage, rather we should try to find a suitable structure that is there in the passage. We should try to identify the keywords that are highlighted in the passage basically. Don't look for the trivialities, don't try to memorize the passage. Third thing that you should avoid while solving the reading comprehension is that you should not read the passage first. Yes, you heard me right, you should not read the passage first. What happens is that when we read the passage first and when we go to the question, we are taking all the irrelevant as well as the relevant information with us while going to the questions that follows the passage. So जब हम question solve करना है, हमारा main purpose passage को पढ़ने का क्या है, that we have to solve the question. So since we have to solve the question, just read the questions first. After reading the question, you will get in your mind that okay, we have to find the answers for these many questions, and you will look for those answers only in the passage that you will read then. So firstly, try to read the questions and then follow the passage. That would be easier for us. That would be easier for us as well as for you people in order to solve the passage. Fourth thing that you should consider and that you should consider to avoid is you don't overemphasize on the vocabulary. Yes, having a strong vocabulary is always a plus point, but trying to have a Shakespearean vocabulary would be negative. Why? क्योंकि हमारे पास वोकैबुलरी है, अच्छी वोकैबुलरी है, तो ये बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन इसी चीज़ में एक्सपर्टीज़ हासिल करना और बाकी सारी चीज़ों को भूल जाना वुड डेफिनेटली प्रूव अ डिसएडवांटेज फॉर अस, बिकॉज फिर हम उसके जो कंटेक्चुअल मीनिंग है वो अंडरस्टैंड करने में बहुत ही ज़्यादा स्ट्रगल करते हैं. सो ट्राई टू फाइंड, इफ़ यू डोंट नो द मीनिंग ऑफ द वर्ड, ट्राइंग टू फाइंड इट कंटेक्चुअल मीनिंग, उसका कंटेक्चुअल मीनिंग जानने की कोशिश कीजिए. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि हमको उसका एग्जैक्ट मीनिंग पता हो, बट if we are somewhere in the meaning, then also it's okay. So don't try to overemphasize only to nourish your vocabulary. Don't try to make yourself an expert in vocabulary words. Okay. Next thing that you should avoid is don't fall for trigger words. Now what are trigger words basically? For example, there must be regular options for a question, but in order to confuse you people, in order to confuse those readers who just skim the passage or who haste throughout the passage, in order to confuse those people, there are some trigger words like but, however, और any of the trigger words could be there. So यहाँ पर जब ये इस तरह के words आते हैं तो regular options को भी कहीं ना कहीं क्या कर देते हैं, confusing options में convert कर देते हैं, and most of the students fall for these trigger words. इसका मतलब ये ट्रिगर वर्ड्स कहीं ना कहीं उनके लिए एक बैकलैश की तरह साबित होते हैं. सो ट्राई टू अवॉइड दीज ट्रिगर वर्ड्स, try to just ponder upon the passage basically. Don't try to ponder upon these trigger words. यहाँ पर आपको passage की तरफ ध्यान देना है. passage में जो लिखा हुआ है, if it is exactly the option then you should mark it as correct, and if it is not exactly the option or it is the reversal of what the question is asking, just opt out for it. Next thing that you should consider to avoid is don't focus on distracting information. It is similar that you should not focus on distracting information, that there might be some informations that are irrelevant, that are insignificant, that might distract you. So यहाँ पर basically जिस चीज़ के बारे में author कुछ convey करना चाह रहा है, हमको सिर्फ उसी चीज़ पर focus करना है. Otherwise falling for distracting information or shifting your focus towards those information which are not relevant, which are not significant, which are not worthy for you people, it would cost you your marks basically. So यहाँ पर हमको हमेशा क्या चीज़ देखनी है, distract नहीं होना है. Author arguments present करता है, अगर वो आर्ग्यूमेंट उसके सब्जेक्ट को सपोर्ट करते हैं देन इट इज़ ओके, बट अगर वो आर्ग्यूमेंट उसके सब्जेक्ट से एकदम ऑपोजिट है, एकदम irrelevant है, then you should not fall for these distracting things. Lastly is you should not struggle. Now what does this mean that you should not struggle? You should not struggle is that if in case, however this should not be the case, but if in case you are not able to understand, you are not able to comprehend what the question is saying, what the passage is saying, then for a time being just leave that passage. Yes, you heard me right. For a time being just leave that passage because you have struggled on that comprehension, you have given so much of time comprehension, and that's why वहाँ पर अब आपके पास बाकी जो पैसेजेस है, बाकी जो सेक्शंस है, उसके लिए टाइम जो है वो शॉर्ट हो जाता है. नाउ इन ऑर्डर टू अवॉइड दिस रिस्क विच इज अ वेरी रिस्की डिसीजन, यू शुड जस्ट avoid the passage you are not able to comprehend. You should try to avoid the question that you have contemplated multiple times but then also you are not able to get it. So instead of marking it incorrect, just leave that particular question. Don't try to mark unnecessary options that you don't want to mark. कई बार हम लोग के भाई ये हमको लग रहा है कि ये सही हो सकता है या ये गलत हो सकता है, इसी कंफ्यूजन में हम रॉन्ग आंसर्स को मार्क कर देते हैं और उसकी वजह से पॉजिटिव मार्क्स या मार्क्स तो आते नहीं है, जो मार्क्स आ रहे हैं वो भी क्या हो जाते हैं, कम हो जाते हैं. सो ये एटलीस्ट अगर हम पॉजिटिव मार्क्स नहीं ला रहे हैं, अगर हमको करेक्ट आंसर नहीं पता है, डोंट ट्राई टू curtail your marks, don't try to reduce your marks by marking wrong answers in your examination. And lastly, don't be over emotional. ओवर इमोशनल नहीं होना है, ओवर थिंक नहीं करना है. कई बार ऑथर इस तरह के पैसेजेस प्रोवाइड करवाता है जिसमें हमको लगता है कि शायद उसने ये इंफॉर्मेशन भी डाली होगी, एंड दिस हैल्यूसिनेशन विल जस्ट मेक अस कंफ्यूज व्हाइल सॉल्विंग द पैसेज. जब हम इस तरह के हैल्यूसिनेशन में चले जाते हैं, जब हम ओवरथिंक करते हैं, ऑथर ने जो इंफॉर्मेशन आपको दी है, trust me guys, none of your question will be beyond the information that is provided in the passage. हर एक क्वेश्चन जो है वो आपके पैसेज से ही आना है, हर एक क्वेश्चन जो है वो आपके पैसेज के इंफॉर्मेशन पर ही बेस्ड होगा. कोई भी ऐसा क्वेश्चन या कोई भी ऐसा ऑप्शन नहीं आने वाला है that is not there in the passage. And if you are trying to make assumptions while solving the passage, while solving the questions and while contemplating on the options, then you will definitely lose your marks then. And this was the last point that you should avoid while solving the reading comprehension, and I hope you have get all those things that you should avoid while solving the comprehension. And all the best to all of the students who are preparing for CLAT 2024, and I wish all of you that you may pass with flying colors. Thank you students.